All right, welcome to the World Builder Zak podcast. This is my very first voiceover live that I'm going to try to do here. So, my hope is that I can record these live, and then I'll edit them into the usual videos that I do with a slightly different format. So, that is, I guess, the plan. You're going to see lots of mistakes, but I'm hoping that this goes smooth enough and that the audio is good enough that that these will work out in my regular videos. So that way I can do the live stream and I can do the regular videos as well, kind of in one shot. So I'm not 100% sure how well this is working so far. I'm gonna try to get the recording going. There we go. We should be live. So you might hear me repeat myself once in a while. That's going to be normal. And that's because if I don't like the way that I read a line, something like that, then I'm going to read it again and again until I get it right. So this is a live voiceover of what will end up in my videos after this is all through. So first I'm going to get it set up here, where we are going to hopefully be able to read. See how that's looking. Perfect. All right, so I'm just going to kind of get into it. If anybody has any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I'll kind of check on that periodically. I will have to be on another page while I read this, but I'll keep checking back just to see if anybody's written anything. All right, so welcome to the World Builder Zak podcast. Oh gosh, I haven't really come up with a title for this video yet. Maybe I will record that later separately, and I'll just start with the actual lines here. So, look down there. Another peasant breaks for the chasm. Ugh, that's gonna be a hard word. Chasm. Look, down there, another peasant breaks for the chasm, splitting checkpoints in hopes the knights won't harass him. On cue, an undead bird lit up like a phoenix rockets to the sky for the church guards to see it. In a moment, the knights of night make their move. Church law is unbending, an example they will prove. I didn't like that. Church law is unbending, an example they will prove. That's better. A knight on serpent bones skims the sand like a surfboard, slithering straight across the ground at land speeds, slithering straight across the ground at land speeds too absurd. The other knight straddles striped. The other knight straddles striped mummified leather. The other knight straddles striped mummified leather, charging on the back of an undead tiger. What was the man thinking, this poor sad sack, running too slow with a duffel on its back? It's the same for all of them. It's the same for all of them. The knights have the upper hand. Sight lines for miles across this dry, open wasteland. The knights cut him off, poised to attack. The peasant stumbles to a knee and tries to turn back. The peasant stumbles to a knee and tries to turn back. That won't work. They need their example. Escapes worse than death to this church and its people. The knights encircle him like sharks on the hunt. He falls to his knees, regretting his stunt. The man drops his duffel, cuts it open with a knife, pulls out a dead body, most likely his wife. All right, I'll check in here real quick. Maybe I should type something for people. Here we go. welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to, oh, I know. I will be happy to answer them. All right. So real quick, basically this is a world in which we've got an entire civilization of undead, or I shouldn't say undead, of necromancers. So if everybody on the planet was able to use necromancy, and it's a planet where bodies don't decompose very fast because it's so dry, there's not a whole lot of moisture, not a lot of things to help break down a corpse. These things just kind of build up in the earth. So there's kind of an unlimited supply of, bodies for the necromancers to resurrect and use to their abilities. So some people have really strong abilities, like maybe they could command multiple at a time. Others maybe could just do small animals, something like that. But everybody can do it. And part of the problem with that, and the way that this world has, kind of evolved, means after you die, there's not really a safe place for you to go. There's no safety away where people aren't going to be able to resurrect your body and use it for whatever they want to. And then the other issue is these people have a very strong belief that their soul or their spirit is pulled back down into the bodies of these, of their former body, and it kind of stays with the body in a sense. So they're looking for some form of salvation from that. And that's where this church comes in. They take control of the one place that people have been able to find that they can kind of escape and get away from it all. So we'll get to that, but that's where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and keep reading, and I'll check back in a little bit. That's why he ran. He did it for her. When she died, he was saddled. When she died, he was saddled to be her protector, to keep her body from being stolen by some knave, to keep her body from being stolen by some knave, to save her from becoming an undead slave. Ooh, kind of sweating tonight. All right. Necromancers believe that when the body is revived, the peaceful rest is over and the soul is retrieved. Necromancers believe that when the body is revived, the peaceful rest is over and the soul is retrieved. They think the spirit only experiences pain, as if locked in a nightmare of a paralyzed brain. As if locked in the nightmare of a paralyzed brain. Like so many, he feared what could happen to his wife if some sick sadist owned her entire afterlife. If some sick sadist owned her entire afterlife. If some sick sadist owned her entire afterlife. The nights close in, and in self-preservation, the husband resurrects her without hesitation. The tiger lunges, and out of left field, and as out. The tiger lunges, and as out of left field, the man uses his undead wife as a shield. The man uses his undead wife as a shield. The cat mauls her face. The snake burrows around back. On command, the snake emerges for a sneak attack. Too fast to react, fangs breach his head. Too fast to react, fangs breach his head. Fangs breach his head. Fangs breach his head. Too fast to react, fangs breach his head. His skin runs pale while he's pollocked. Oh, yeah. His skin runs pale. His skin runs pale while as he's pollocked in red. His skin runs pale while he's Pollocked in red. So, of course, I'm talking about Jackson Pollock there. And the red would, of course, be his blood. While he's Pollocked in red, I think is the right way. His skin runs pale while he's Pollocked in red. The couple quickly became a pile of shame. The bride is still dead, now her groom just the same. Now her groom's just the same. The bride is still dead, now her groom's just the same. The knights release their pets and pack them into large sacks. The knights release their pets and pack them into large sacks. They resurrect the couple and load the sacks on their backs. All right, just checking back in real quick. All right, close that. Okay. So yeah, we've got this person who, you know, he's trying to get to this chasm. It's the one place that he could, you know, potentially get rid of his wife's body where nobody could get to it. So I'm just kind of hoping that makes sense to everybody. It's so deep that, you know, nobody's powers would reach it, and they happen to believe that this is a bottomless pit, basically. So because of that, it's the one place that they would like to go, but this church is guarding it. They're keeping people away from using it. They're controlling it for their own gain. So, all right, we'll just go ahead and continue. All right. To prove to the unfaithful that defiance is for fools, they force the couple to all fours and march them home like pack mules. The knights of night scoff and laugh as they parade the poor couple through the town to a pig's trough. The knights of night scoff and laugh as they parade the poor couple through a town to a pig's trough. The undead can eat, but only for show. The undead can eat, but only for show. But all they are doing is make their stomachs grow. They continue right up until their bellies tear open. They continue right up until their bellies tear open. Now the knights get the reaction they were hoping. Now the knights get the reaction they were hoping. The citizens need to know exactly where they stand. The citizens need to know exactly where they stand. It is the church doctrine. What did I mean by that? It is the church doctrine to receive their hand. It is the church doctrine and receive their hand. Citizens need to know exactly where they stand. It is the church doctrine. Now they receive their... All right, so I think I want to rewrite this line. It is the church doctrine to receive their hand. To receive the church's hand. It's a church doctrine. Church's hand, no. Stand. It is the church's doctrine. It is the church's doctrine to receive, their hand. Know exactly where they stand. It is the church's to, I guess we'll just say when they get out of hand. I don't love this line. All right, it is the church's doctrine for when they get out of hand. That's okay. It is the church's doctrine for when they get out of hand. Desiccated, the land cracked and parched. It thirsts more than any planet I've watched. Thirsty for the freedom through ludicrous absolution. Thirsty for freedom through ludicrous. Thirsty for freedom through ludicrous absolution. Do you think Ludacris has issues saying his own name? Because that is a hard word to say. Maybe he's just showing off by naming himself that. I don't know. All right. Dying for the thick red blood of salvation. Dying for the thick red blood of salvation. Necromantia, a planet where death is a prison, where insomniac souls are routinely arisen. No sleep for sorry spirits after their passing. Dead become undead pets everlasting. Morbidity is more common here than a conscience. Religion and rituals shackle history and science. Religion and rituals shackle history and science. Flesh won't decay the normal way when it's dry. No fast decomp, bodies mummify. Necromantia is the last place you want your remains to survive. Necromantia is the last place you want your remains to survive. Necromancers have a canonic ability that turns the dead alive. All right, so basically canonic abilities, if you're not familiar with this, they're the ones that are passed down from generation to generation. So these are like specific to, that alien species, and not something that like another alien species who came to their planet would be able to do. So if I traveled to this Necromantia, I wouldn't all of a sudden be a Necromancer. This is something they developed through evolution somehow, and also through, their particular spiritual practices, things like that. So, but it's not something that just anybody could do. In their beliefs, your corpse is linked to your soul. Cremation is no option, you must remain whole. Their one saving grace was always the chasm. They threw the dead bodies down the bottomless canyon. They threw the dead bodies down the bottomless canyon. It said, the chasm is as endless. Blah. It said, the chasm is as endless. It said, the chasm is as endless as steep. It said, the chasm is as endless as steep. Or maybe necromancy just can't reach that deep. Or maybe necromancy just can't reach that deep. This caused the chasm to become a place most holy. This caused the chasm to become a place most holy. Out of it grew religion like a fungus spreading slowly. Out of it grew religion like a fungus spreading slowly. Born of beauty in the chasm's salvation, Those thirsty for power then started their invasion. Those thirsty for power then started their invasion. These people covet power more fiercely than you could fathom. These people covet power more fiercely than you could fathom. Until the government itself became the church of the endless chasm. The church's tower now straddles the canyon. Their greatest show of power is controlling the chasm. They grant access freely to the wealthy. They grant access freely to the wealthy. They grant access freely to the wealthy. With salvation passed down sparsely to the filthy. With salvation passed down sparsely to the filthy. It is meant to be a reward to the faithful of the poor. To the faithful in the poor. There we go. It is meant to be a reward to the faithful in the poor. But it's really a tool to keep them shackled to the floor. Despite the cruelty and obvious manipulation, despite the cruelty and obvious manipulation, so many remain pious to this unholy nation. This brings me to the boy I've been watching for a while. A child as bright as his optimistic smile. A child as bright as his optimistic smile. As a baby, mouse corpses danced for his amusement. That needs a comma. For a writer, my grammar kind of sucks, so you'll see I'll need an editor when I put this into a book. So, but I'm writing it first for this, and then I'm going ahead and switching, to a book afterwards, in hopes that this channel will help promote any books that I, do release. So, as a baby, mouse corpses danced for his amusement. By 7, he surfed. By 7, he surfed skeletal snakes for entertainment. He surfed on. I think that's better, on. By 7, he surfed on skeletal snakes for entertainment. Fortunate for a kid in this shanty town. To his family, he's a prince, only missing his crown. To his family, he's a prince, only missing his crown. They happily spend their free energy and time sheltering their son from morality and crime. Sheltering their son from morality and crime. I sent a necro ally to visit his father Solstice. I sent a necro ally to visit his father Solstice. I sent a necro ally to visit his father Solstice. He passed on my offer for his talented son Nexus. He passed on my offer for his talented son Nexus He passed on my offer to his talented son Nexus. He passed on my offer to his talented son Nexus. He shared that I am Valeris, influential in our galaxy, and I would like... Oh no, it's passed on. He passed on my offer to his talented son Nexus. No. He passed on my offer for his talented son Nexus. He passed on my offer for his talented son Nexus. He shared that I am Valeris, influential in our galaxy, and I would like to offer a spot at the Milky Way Academy. Solstice recoiled and ran to his porch. He shouted an alarm to the knights of the church. He grabbed my ally by the sleeve to make him stay. He grabbed my ally by the sleeve to make him stay. But our Valeris technology helped him get away. When the knights arrived, all they found was this family. Letting him escape made the knights become angry. I could say very angry. Letting him escape made the knights very angry. Solstice and his wife Eclipsia tried to do right by their neighbors, by the church, when they called for a night. Or and the church. I'll just say and the church. That'll flow a little better. By their neighbors and the church when they called for a night. One knight pushed the father with a scolding shout. The other shoved the mother and laughed his way out. Eclipsia revealed her broken forearm. Eclipsia revealed her broken forearm. But that's just part of the Knights of Night's charm. Solstice ran to his wife. Nexus ran to the door. Solstice ran to his wife. Nexus ran to the door. His only thought was to settle the score. Eclipsia yelled, "No, Nexus! Solstice, stop him!" Eclipsia yelled, "No, Nexus! Solstice, stop him!" I'm not good at female voices, but we're doing what we can. All right. Solstice turned to Nexus as the lights all dim. Solstice turned to Nexus as the lights all dim. The knights talked and walked away like nothing ever happened. Like nothing even happened. The knights talked and walked away like nothing even happened. Undead mounted on their backs in duffels drawn and fastened. A gorilla's paw ripped out and grabbed its master's face. A gorilla's paw ripped out and grabbed its master's face. Its other arm joined it, as the night thrashed all over the place. Its other arm joined in as the night thrashed all over the place. Its other arm joined in as the night thrashed all over the place. The other knight's duffel exploded when his snake periscoped above his head. The giant skeletal The giant skeletal serpent looked down, and the knight's face was injected with dread. The giant skeletal serpent looked down. The giant skeletal serpent looked down, and the knight's face was injected with dread. Just like that, both knights lay dead in the street. Nexus then raises. Nexus then raised. This is in the past. Laid. Raised. Just like that, both knights laid. I should do laid. Just like that, both knights lay dead in the street. Nexus then raised them both to their feet. The four lined up like toys for a child, 2 pious knights and 2 beasts from the wild. 2 pious knights and 2 beasts from the wild. Nexus still reeling, he was riding the high. Nexus still reeling, he was riding the high. Solstice cried, "What have you done? They didn't need to die!" Nexus dropped his smile and his arms at his side. Nexus dropped his smile and his arms at his side. His father grabbed him by the waist and yanked him back inside. His father grabbed him by the waist and yanked him back inside. The undead hit the ground. The undead hit the ground. As the pious onlookers gathered around. As the pious onlookers gathered around. Solstice places his hands on his face. Think. Solstice places his hand... Placed. Solstice placed his hands on his face. Think. But the more he'd think, the smaller his pool of ideas would shrink. But the more he'd think, the smaller his pool of ideas would But the more he'd think, the smaller his pool of ideas would shrink. But the more he'd think, the smaller his pool of ideas would shrink. Eclipsia stopped him. We've only one choice. The chasm has spoken, and we've heard its voice. He nodded in agreement. They both understood. They knew they must turn him in to protect the greater good. Eclipsia cradled her break. Eclipsia cradled her break. Solstice cradled their son. Eclipsia cradled her break, and Solstice cradled... All right, tough one. Eclipsia cradled her break, and Solstice cradled their son. They drank of the church. They drank of the church from day one. They were sure what must be done. The three walked somberly. The three walked somberly through the town. Slowly they marched with their heads held down. The crowd parted from both awe and fear. Whispers amplified each other until that's all they could hear. Sinner, evil, scary, repent. Savant, future, holy, talent. The people couldn't agree, but only one opinion matters. The Church of the Endless Chasm. The Church of the Endless Chasm always rises above the chatters. The Church of the Endless Chasm always rises above the chatters. Hours went by, even nights didn't get in their way. Hours went by, even nights didn't get in their way. They reached the bridge entrance, all three knelt down to pray. They reached the bridge entrance, all three knelt down to pray. So this bridge is actually a bridge that reaches over the chasm, and then there's this, you'll see it, because I illustrate all of this as well. You'll see it in, there's this palace that basically kind of hovers above the chasm, and it does so, based on these four bridges that all meet in the middle, and in the middle is this palace. So kind of a crazy setup. I wouldn't feel very comfortable in it, but apparently these guys think it's some pretty cool architecture. So hundreds had followed them. Hundreds had followed them, waiting to see what will the church do with these three. What will the church do with these three? A bishop strolls up. A bishop strolls up. Peasants, state your business. Peasants, state your business. I like that. Peasants, state your business. Solstice looked down. My son's something to confess. My son's something to confess. My son's something to confess. Nexus looked at his father. Solstice reassured. Nexus fails to make a sound, choking on the very first word. The bishop slaps him. Don't waste my time. I will punish you and who let you through for this crime. I will punish you and let you... I will punish you and who let you through for this crime. Nexus spoke up, finally finding his tongue. The bishop didn't believe such words sneaking out of a child so young. Impossible. This child vomits heresy. Impossible. This child vomits heresy. How dare you drool such lies here before me? Knights, put on a show for all the crowd to see. Make the peasants watch. Humble them publicly. No, humiliate them. Make the peasants watch. Humiliate them publicly. Solstice bowed low. Please show him mercy. We are your servants. We came to confess publicly. Nonsense. Do you think me so gullible? The bishop gasped in fright as hands reached out of the rubble. The bones clasped his cloak. Ooh, that's a tough one. And yanked him to a knee. The bones clasped his cloak. The bones clasped his cloak. The bones clasped his cloak. Oh, that's a tough one. All right. The bones clasped his cloak and yanked him down to a knee. The bones clasped his cloak and yanked him to a knee. The number of skeletal hands keeps growing. The bishop struggles to pull himself free. Enough! 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 All right, this is going to be a female voice. Enough! There we go. Enough! A mysterious voice blanketed the commotion. Powerful without effort, every soul became frozen. She had glided down on the back of a giant bat. with chaos as cover. No one noticed that. The bat hugged the ground, and just as a flex, the bat hugged the ground, and just as a flex, she commandeered the skeletal hands, forcing them into steps. She commandeered the skeletal hands, forcing them into steps. She's the head of Necromantia, priest, minister, anastasis. She's the head of Necromantia, priest, minister, anastasis. Now, Bishop, to our honored guests. Now, Bishop, to our honored guests, you must be more gracious. Now, Bishop, to our honored guests, you must be more gracious. My priest! Cut off by a rotting hand sprouting. My priest! Cut off by a rotting hand sprouting up to cover his lips. Tears bled from the bishop's eye as the hand slowly tightens its grip. Lip. Cut off by a rotting hand sprouting up to cover his lip. Tears bled from the bishop's eyes. Tears bled from the bishop's eyes as the hand slowly tightened its grip. Tears bled from the bishop's eyes as the hand slowly tightened its grip. Priest minister! Priest minister! Priest minister! Solstice quivers. Solstice quivers. We offer you our lives and more. Anastasis crouches to Nexus's eyes. Crouched. Anastasis crouched to Nexus's eyes. Anastasis crouched to Nexus's eyes. I believe you're exactly who I'm looking for. 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 All right. Okay, we are done. This is the end of basically chapter 1 of this story. I'm hoping that you enjoyed it if you're watching this later. All right. Oh, thank you, Francis. I really appreciate that. All right, I think I had somebody watching. That's pretty cool. All right. So anyway, that's it for World Builder Zak today. This is my first live stream. I'm hoping the recording went well. If the quality of the audio is still podcast worthy, or if I can at least make it that way in Premiere Pro, then or Audition or whatever, then I think this will be a great way for me to do these recordings. That way we can have the live stream. People who like, seeing how this works and how this went will be able to watch. And then I'll also have the recordings to make my videos out of. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Let me fill you guys in real quick on... Oh, and thank you, Doppel. That's actually my wife. All right, so I am going to show you guys a few of the drawings if I can. So for these characters, so first we have that guy that was below my head there. He is going to be Nexus when he gets a little older. That's not him as of right now. I'm going to stop the recording part though. There we go. All right, and then if I bring in a new image, can I do that? Yes. Image. We'll just browse. All right, so this... All right, so this is going to be that Anastasis that you saw at the end. She's the head of the church. That's kind of a... I don't know if I can zoom this. No, that's not working. All right. Well, good enough for now. So yeah, that's that Anastasis. I've also got ones for all of those knights that we're talking about, the undead tigers, a whole bunch of stuff. So watch the video, and you know, when I release it, it'll probably be this coming weekend, but who knows, I might do it sooner. But once I release it, I've got a lot of drawings to go along with this story. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I don't have a set schedule for the live streaming yet, so if you hit that bell icon, it will help, and then you also enable notifications from YouTube, then it should alert you when I go live. So, but I'll try to keep people apprised of what I'm doing, and we'll start to get into a routine eventually. But this was kind of a test. So anyway, thank you guys so much for my first live stream, and I really appreciate you. And I will, I guess I'll see you next time.